enormous picture to focus on the pixel.
Yes.
Right.
Okay. The enormous picture is that you have something that only communicates with the least credible possible proponent. And he wants you to believe impossible nonsense for no reason. And only if you believe impossible nonsense for no reason will you be saved. And you will get unimaginable rewards if you believe whatever the priests are selling. And you will suffer a fate worse than death if you don't buy into their nonsense.
That's not true. That's quite a sexy way of looking at it, I think.
A sexy way to look at it.
I mean, well,
there's a language barrier here.
You're all about the sexy way of looking.
No, you sexed it up slightly, right? Because actually, what Professor, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Professor Myers. Well, just because Professor Myers was like, actually, the Quran is quite opposite to that. It's not a text that says believe just because I say so.
Okay,
it actually tells you to, for example, أَفَلَا تَعْقِلُونَ. In Arabic, it says, do you not use your mind, your intellect? So it's telling you and trying to evoke thinking. You see?
I just want to make sure we don't have a language barrier. So when I said that you are punished for not believing, you're saying that I'm wrong. That in your religion you are not punished simply for not believing.
No, you're right, but it's bigger than that. It's an existential question.
So I was right.
No,
okay.
well,
what else am I wrong about?
Well, I think the way we connect with each other is not by just having yes or no answers, but having a conversation, right? So,
are you?
It's an existential question. For example,
hold on just a second. I want you to think for a moment about the creator of the entire universe.
Yeah.
Doesn't give a rat's ass whether you do anything good or bad in your life. All that matters, the sole criteria, is that you are gullible enough to follow the story of the least credible, illiterate proponent you can follow. That's the sole criteria, and that's all.
No, that's not true.
Okay, if that's not it, then an unbeliever could be saved. An unbeliever would not go to hell.
Yeah, that's true.
If all unbelievers go to hell, then the sole criteria is gullibility.
Let me give you an example. First and foremost, what we say is that the Quran says we do not punish anyone until they have given the message. And there is another concept in the Quran called Dalil Burhan, which means conclusive evidence that you require to be conclusive. Now the second thing is because the message is good for you. That's why. And we've seen that in history. So no,
thank you.
Well, maybe no. There's another point.
Let's not get stampeded.
No stampedes. Okay. The other point is an existential question because we believe in Islam of this philosophical principle called the fitra. Fitra means the innate disposition, and we believe that human beings have been created with the innate disposition to acknowledge oneness. Okay, it's a spiritual concept, the oneness of God. And what we say is when we deny ourselves, that's why the question who you are is an existential question in the Quran. Saying, who are you? Are you just a product of American society? Are you a product of capitalism? Are you a product of communism? Are you a product of the system? Are you a product of your parents? If you are, then who are you? You're just like a social biological robot that someone types in the code and you just act in accordance. And the Quran says, don't do that. Think about your reality. And it says, are you just going to follow your forefathers? And it says, literally, even if they're based on no knowledge, it's an existential question. And from that we say, if you don't know who you are, then you're just rejecting yourself. And God says in the Quran that to deny God or to reject God from that innate disposition perspective is like denying your own self.
Okay.
So the point I'm trying to say is it is an existential question, and that's why it's useful to always have this kind of good discussions all the time.
Okay. Now, my primary interest is in phylogenetics. So when I go to deny myself, I would have to deny that I am an evolved ape. That's what I am. That's what we all are.
Okay.
The Quran, so far as I know, in denying evolution, denies itself. And you are telling me that what I have to instead adopt...
It doesn't deny all principles.
The Quran doesn't talk about evolution.
Regardless. What you're telling me, it talks about Adam and Eve and all of this, and the great flood that we know didn't happen and all of that. But apart from all that, you're asking me to accept this uber-galactic super being...
Well, the Quran doesn't talk about the great flood either.
Okay. Okay. Just to clarify, the important point is you're asking me to accept this uber-galactic super being, of which we have no evidence at all, from a system of religion which has, so far, only produced failure in every predictable sense. And you want me to believe that this thing will punish me simply for not believing, and it wants me to believe the least credible people and the most improbable stories. And I'll be punished if I don't. How is that not a criteria of gullibility?
Well, there's two assumptions here. First and foremost, said there's this galactic being that doesn't exist. I would deny that. I think there's very good reasons to believe that a divine exists. I could articulate them for you.
I would love to see
you can read this book.
discover it's bullshit. All the way through.
Professor Myers, because we really want to listen to Miriam Namazi because she has outdated creases about the Sharia, right? Especially when she talks about rape using 4 witnesses. That's nowhere in the Sharia. That's not
Well,
testimonies
the
enough.
booklet, I just read a booklet.
It's just a joke.
It's
But
a
anyway,
joke.
we'll listen to that. The thing is, if we pay for your ticket to come down to London, would you have an intellectual dialogue with us with a non-Muslim coordinator?
An intellectual dialogue with you about what?
Or what we've been just doing so far? Would you do that?
I'll be around. You might
I'll
be
tell you
able
what,
to- Yeah.
I'll give you a forum.
Cool.
Okay? We'll book you on the Magic Sandwich Show.
What is that?
Magic Sandwich Show.
Yeah, we'll
Where
have
did
you on
you
the
know
Magic
that?
Sandwich.
Is that a real show?
Yeah, it's a real show.
Can I get a sandwich?
And if you do, it'll cure you of cancer.
Only if it's halal meat, right?
Certainly.
So, anyway, good to see you, Professor.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time.
Pleasure.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
The show goes on.